true. And it's so sad. The fact that this matter, like he claimed, like the Jibrin, the presiding officer there claimed, that is divided. It should not be divided because the facts are there. Humphrey Nwosu was a brave man that stuck his neck out for democracy in this country.
We saw that.
Despite the pressure of the military. He also organized an election adjudged to be one of the freest and fairest in this country. In his lifetime, because of these military oligarchs, he wasn't respected and acknowledged. The little decency and dignity and decorum we should give him in his death is being taken away by the same man that was part of those that tried to make the process clear for the democracy these lawmakers now enjoy. It should be a no-brainer. And it will have been a befitting one. I think it was just buried over the weekend, right?
Yes.
It's been buried on Friday. So, but there was a television over. It will have been a great one this week.
Perfect
time. But now that we are doing this, playing politics with everything, Humphrey Nwosu did not do anything wrong. In fact, he stood tall. He could have kowtowed to the forces. He stood tall. And the elections he conducted, these lawmakers, I saw most of them there at the book launch that day in Abuja now. Babangida has printed out the results, the same results of the elections he conducted, and MK Abiola was the winner of that election. When are we going to celebrate our heroes? Must everything be politicized in this country? If we keep looking at everything on the bounds of division, it's not fair.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to play regional politics, but I'm going to say what's going to upset a lot of people. Is it because Humphrey Nwosu from the southeast? Is that the reason?
Well,
is that the reason? If he was from other regions, will he be treated this way?
Well, Rufai, I believe that, Abati did not submit the motion properly. Like I said, he has a chance to resubmit the motion. It was just the timing that everyone is upset about.
Okay, very good.
Dr. Abati, really quickly.
Yes, I think the Senate President, Deputy Senate President, Senator Jibrin Barau, presiding, made a point that this could be resubmitted. The argument was about order 41, 42, or order whatever, standing orders of the Senate. But I just hope that a day will not come when the Nigerian National Assembly will start behaving like the Portuguese Parliament, or some of those parliaments that we are seeing where they throw chairs and where they engage in fisticuffs.
And that's the point I wanted you to raise.
And then we will be saying that ambulances should be sent to the National Assembly to rescue those who have not yet lost their teeth or have received a blow to their heads. The way they are carrying on, it appears it's becoming a rather riotous National Assembly. And that's why we keep appealing to them. Whether they are fighting over standing orders or whatever, they should just conduct themselves as the distinguished people as they are so-called.
All right.
Now, that is one. The second point is about Humphrey Nwosu. I think the point has been made and should be reiterated that Professor Humphrey Nwosu is a hero of democracy.
Right.
Now, what needs to be pointed out? There was a group then called Association for Better Nigeria. They went to court, and a court sat at night, midnight. I think it was Justice Basi Kpeme's court that gave a midnight ruling and said the election should not hold. Now, when Professor Humphrey Nwosu went to meet President Babangida, he insisted that there was no reason why that election should not take place.
Yes.
So at that level itself, he was a hero because he stood up, he stood his ground.
Absolutely.
Now, after that, after the elections had been held, it was described both by local watchers and international observers as the freest and fairest election ever held in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
And many attributed this to the ballot system then. It was called Option A4. The open ballot system. In subsequent elections, people have been saying, let us return to that option A4 because it gave us the freest and fairest election. Number three, why we should also salute Professor Nwosu's courage is that he later, after they had ignored him and all that, he later wrote a book, laying the foundation, my account of June 12, 1993 election. Those who want to know further details, since time will not permit to give a book review, should go and read that book. And you will see that in that book, he said that it was MK Abiola that won the election.
Absolutely.
And he was the umpire. Now it was so many like years after he had done so that President Babangida himself now acknowledged it.
Absolutely.
That is a man who should be included among the heroes of democracy.
Right.
As for Jibrin Barau, senator, saying that the issue is controversial. I don't know how much of Nigerian history that he knows, for him to arrive at that conclusion. It may be controversial on the floor of the Senate where there seems to be confusion between the A's and the I's and the nays. And that's why we're saying that there should be e-voting in that National Assembly, so that those who vote against history, those who vote against the Nigerian people, those who vote against values and ideals that this society should hold sacred will be known. And we will ask questions from their generation to generation about how they voted. Everybody will just go there, like there are some remote control electronic device. No, we want e-voting that can be measured and that can be documented.
All right, very well said, Doctor. Very well said, you guys. I mean, facts have been established that the late Humphrey Nwosu is a hero of democracy, and we hope to see a quick passage on the immortalization of the hero of democracy. Adiola, the lawmaker representing Ogun West, said the late Humphrey Nwosu failed to salvage Nigeria's democracy during the annulled election. Adiola claimed that he lost his brother due to the event of June 12 and insisted that Nwosu did not deserve recognition. Let's take a look.
As a result of the action and inaction of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, I lost my immediate junior brother. He died right behind me for him refusing to do or carry out his duty as INEC chairman. Mr. President, many of my colleagues have stood up here and said he conducted the free and fairest election. There are three different meanings and three different interpretations that we should look at: conducting election, releasing results, and announcing results. Yes, he conducted the election. Yes, School of Thought said he releases all the results. But you and I know releasing results is not the same thing as announcing results. He failed at the critical moment when he's supposed to salvage this democracy. Professor Humphrey Nwosu, with due respect to him, because it's now late, does not deserve to be immortalized as one of the very few Nigerians that have done the right thing.
Well, Senator Adams Oshiomhole also rejected the motion to immortalize Humphrey Nwosu. He argued that Nwosu and the then military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, deceived Nigerians by conducting the June 12th election, only for it to be annulled.
Nigerians were really in pain because nobody is able to quote where Professor Nwosu announced the results. It is his failure to announce the result, whether under threat or other whatever forces that prevented him from so doing, that Nigerians were unable to say that he was declared the winner. In fact, I was active in that struggle. If Professor Nwosu had the courage, I emphasize courage, as is being suggested here, to announce the winner and damn the consequences. After all, he who is not ready to die for something will end up dying for nothing. I'm on record as saying that Professor Nwosu and President Babangida fooled 18 million Nigerians that voted. Nwosu is not on record before his death as admitting that before I die, let me confess that there was a winner.
Well, Adams Oshiomhole here saying that the late Humphrey Nwosu was not ready to die for Nigeria, and therefore, he doesn't consider him a hero. Well, the senators at that that walked out, the senators, Southeast senators, had urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that he immortalizes who we described yesterday on this table, Ayo, as a hero of democracy. But before I come to you guys, I'd like to play this clip. Here is the late Professor Nwosu in this viral video where he mentioned several names of those he said were involved in the schemes that led to the annulment of the June 12th election. Let's take a look.
There was someone at the level of the National Defense Security and Defense Council,
headed by Babangida.
Babangida and Abacha was prominent. I reported, well, sir, the law that allowed us to conclude this election made no provision for this technical body, for your committee. You should allow us to conclude the result with that of Taraba and announce it, or you call in Abiola and negotiate with him. He shouted on me, "Who are you to tell us what to do? You are not a member of National Defense and Security Council. You are not." The council and court decided you should not conduct the election. You went ahead and conducted the election, that it was illegal. You will recall, throughout Abacha's regime, his Minister for Information regarded our election as illegal.
They're saying at that time, the administration had regarded that election as illegal throughout the tenure of Abacha at the time as well. I mean, Eina Abaribe has charged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to actually do the right thing by this man, who will be buried, I believe, on Saturday this weekend in Anambra State. And, you know, he said that this man led the freest and fairest election in Nigeria's history, and he's wondering why such a man has not been recognized by the federal government of Nigeria. Dr. Abati, over to you.
Okay, we discussed this subject yesterday,
yes.
But I think it's come up afresh because Senator Enyinaya Abaribe now went back and represented, you know, that motion. Now, there were 15 senators, all the senators from the Southeast, also supported by Senator Abamoro, Senator Adamu Aliero, Senator Yahaya Abdullahi, both from Kebbi now, and Senator Ned Nwoko, and then, of course, there was a voice vote. At that voice vote, of course, it was also, we were also told that the thing was shouted down, upon which the lawmakers, you know, worked out to have a press conference. Now, this is why we're saying there should be e-voting, so that we will know who voted what. All these are magical voice votes that the presiding officer can just decide. We don't know whether they even conduct a hearing test, you know, for some of these people who conduct government meetings. But in Parliament, if, you know, there is proper e-voting, we will have definite outcome. That's number one. Number two, some of the respondents said, you know, on the floor of the Senate. Let me start with Senator Adams Oshiomhole. Senator Adams Oshiomhole was saying that at no time did Professor Humphrey Nwosu declare that Abiola actually won that election. You've shown the video, you know, which showed his mind at that time. Now, in the book, I mentioned his book yesterday, Laying the Foundation, my personal account of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. That book was published in 2008, 474 pages, and I believe it's still in circulation. If Senator Oshiomhole had read that book, he will have found where in that book that Professor Nwosu wrote that, in fact, Abiola won the election decisively. Right. And that his victory was endorsed by both political parties at the collation center before the annulment. That is clear enough. But you know what they say. If you don't want a black man to see anything, just hide it in the book. But that book is still available. Hopefully, you know, some people will go and read it. Now, Senator Adeola was making the point. He said he was not making a partisan statement. He was talking from a personal angle that he lost his brother. Indeed, there were many people that died during that struggle. Nobody could say that it was Professor Humphrey Nwosu that personally carried guns to kill people. it was the military junta and Babangida, as head of state at that time, I said that it was Abacha-led forces that stopped the announcement of the results. Now, he, the general, he that had the box stopping at his table, he as president and head of state of Nigeria, he ran away from the junta. He could not assert himself. Is it Professor Humphrey Nwosu that was just appointed as INEC chairman that will now stand up to the Abacha-led forces? No, it's not possible. And then finally, what are the prayers of Senator Naya Abaribe and the others? They are saying he laid the foundation of the headquarters of INEC and he has started building it. They say, okay, the minimum that the government can do is to name that INEC headquarters after him. Professor Yakubu Mahmoud, who was speaking at Service of Songs in his honor this same week, also made such a recommendation and said that Nwosu was a trailblazer and many lessons could be learned from the foundation that he has laid. Now he took over from Professor Emeawa. That in itself, can they take it away from him that he laid the foundation of that INEC headquarters that everybody else is using today? Number two, about national honor. Even if they don't want to give him national honor, they should realize, those who are opposing Nwosu and saying he cannot be immortalized, should realize that many of the people who urinated on the legacy of June 12, they have been given national honors. Yes. Including Ambassador Babagana Kingibe, who was running mate to Abiola. He has been given GCON. And yet he was one of the first to jump ship and abandon the June 12 struggle. Many other persons who have been governors, who have been given national honors, these were people who betrayed June 12. People who betrayed Chief MKO Abiola, they've been given national honors. Even his achievement as a scholar, absolutely, Professor Humphrey Nwosu as a distinguished scholar, even that qualifies him more to be on the national honors list than all the undeserved, funny people that always show up on the national honors list every year. And that's why I think that they have a good case. Those Abaribe team and supporters, they have a good case. Although some people have been saying there was cowardice. Yeah. There was Newswatch wrote 2 editorials in 1993 abusing Professor Nwosu. Please, how many families will allow their children to go and face bullets because of Nigeria, and you say that is cowardice? Yeah. He was working under the military.
Under the military. You said it very correctly, Dr. Abati. I'd like your thought, Ayo, about the senator representing Ogun West, Adiola, who said that, Humphrey Nwosu failed to deliver Nigeria's democracy and that his brother died during the whole annulment period.
Adiola on the loss of his brother. And in the same vein, I sympathize with all Nigerians who lost people, lost property, lost dignity, lost time during that period. But the fact that we're even having a conversation around whether or not Professor Nwosu deserves this honor is a big problem in itself. And I'll give reasons for that. The first thing is that we will not be talking about June 12 elections and the repercussions if we didn't have a man who was bold enough and brave enough in the face of military pressure to conduct what is said to be the freest and fairest election, one we've not seen in over 30 years since then. That in itself, he deserves accolades for that. We all know what happened during the Babangida years, during the Abacha years, and it must have taken a lot of courage for him to have done that. It is difficult to work alone when you're standing up for the right things. And so when you have people around you who are not willing to support you, yet you were still able to go ahead to conduct that election, that man ought to be celebrated. On the other side of things, isn't it ironic that the person whom the box stopped with had a book launch the other day, and people who were even victims of June 12 elections and the repercussions were there to raise 16 billion naira for him, almost change the course of history, rewrite history, and we're talking about him in glowing terms. He wants to build a presidential library, and people are supporting him. That very man deserves accolades, but the one who was bold enough to conduct the first and fairest election does not deserve the honor that we're asking for. It doesn't make any sense. Absolutely. And so that's why, what is the persuasion for Nigerians to do right? What is the persuasion for Nigerians to lay down their lives? And that's why I asked the question, is Nigeria worth dying for? Because when you make you risk your life and do all these things, they say no. But when you run away, at least the only thing, just make sure you survive. And the longer you live, the more history will be, will tilt in your favor. Finally, this is why the importance of teaching history in schools is important.
Absolutely.
The Southeast senators, one of the things they must also do, must make sure that history is not rewritten to make Professor Humphrey, let them tell the side of the story so that Nigerian children today and tomorrow will read the real story of what happened during June 12 elections and the real heroes of that time.
Well said, both of you. Well said. Thank you for your submission.
So guys, there have been so many arguments on whether to immortalize Humphrey Nwosu or not. In case you don't know, Humphrey Nwosu is that one INEC chairman who is said to be the only INEC chairman who had ever conducted a credible election in Nigeria, even under the military rule. Now, he is late, and there is this bill on the floor of the Senate to immortalize him, to name the INEC headquarters after him. But guess what? So many lawmakers are against that motion. Some people have said that he truncated democracy, while others are in support of what he did. That despite the military threats, he came out to do the work that he did. And in short, many people are applauding him. And you could hear Rufai and, Dr. Abati confirming that many of these lawmakers do not even know history. They don't know what happened during June 12th or June 10th when that election was conducted. They were not there, or it's either they didn't participate, or they don't even understand history, or they've not taken their time to read and all that, and possibly some of them can't even remember. But now they are on the Senate floor trying to say that Humphrey Nwosu truncated the election because he did not declare the winner. If you look at what is even happening today in Nigeria, these are the lawmakers. I mean, some of these politicians are even the ones truncating democracy in this country. During elections, they will be the ones to buy INEC, buy the police, buy the military, buy, even the INEC agents and those that are working during elections. They want to be the ones to compromise. Now they have the audacity to talk against somebody who put his life on the line under a military rule to conduct an election that is said to be the fairest ever experienced in Nigeria. These same lawmakers are the ones that pushed INEC Mahmoud to do what he did. And we saw how the 2023 presidential election went. The APC came out to say that was the best of elections ever conducted, that the INEC chairman did an excellent work. Somebody on the middle of the road came out to say they had a glitch. Somebody who told Nigerians that beavers, IREF were game changers. But at the end of the day, they've told the courts not to acknowledge all that. And the Nigerian courts ruled that IREF, beavers don't have any role to play, and that INEC chairman can decide whatever he wants at any time, even the glitch that they used to truncate democracy in the last election. So guys, what are you talking about? This is the same court, being influenced by these leaders, these politicians, that the court came out to tell us that FCT is not needed again for one to be declared president of Nigeria. These are the same people frustrating the efforts, to sustain democracy in this Nigeria. Is it not these politicians that some of them did not even participate in primaries, but today they are in the House of Assemblies making laws for us, the National Assemblies making laws for us and telling us who truncated and who didn't truncate democracy, while they are the actual ones truncating democracy. So when you look at it, it's all about ethnicity. It's all about, hatred for the Igbos. You cannot immortalize, Humphrey Nwosu for the role he played. But Tinubu, that came in just 1-2 years in office, has named structures and government places after his own name, and nobody's talking, nobody's saying anything wrong about that. But somebody who put his life on the line to do what he did, which some of these politicians cannot even do, You know, going by the way elections are being conducted today in Nigeria, everything has been monetized. You see results even before elections actually begins, and all kinds of things we've seen because of the rascality of the kind of leaders we have today. Now, these are the same people, the people whose hands are not clean. They have the audacity to condemn Humphrey Nwosu for the beautiful work he did. So guys, sometimes you just keep asking yourself if it really worth it, you putting your life on the line for this country, because at the end of the day you will be ridiculed. I mean, Humphrey Nwosu remains a hero. You know, so many people know that he did his best for this country, even though he's not been acknowledged today. But guess what? There are people who have removed cap for him, that despite the threats in front of him, you know, he did an excellent job, and that is why we still have democracy today in Nigeria. So guys, what are we talking about? Whether they like it or not, they are the real truncators of democracy. I mean, these politicians you are seeing, all the things we see INEC, all the flaws during elections are being influenced by these people, are being carried out, you know, by them. They are the ones that have destroyed the judiciary. They've destroyed INEC. The security agents are compromised. All kinds of government institutions in Nigeria are compromised because of this set of people that we have. And today they have the guts to speak against Humphrey Nwosu because he's from the southeast. So guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.